Hello and welcome. We are working today again in the DNA coding and gene keys. We're in the progression of challenge. This is an interesting pathway. The challenge pathway has to do with our bound nature to time fullness and the passageway to enlightenment through timelessness. And so we are activating the Time Tantrika coding within you. This is a scales of balance reckoning. This reckons this and reconciles with the masculine and feminine aspects of nature, our natural human state of this kind of balance. We hit the speed of being with this particular DNA activation. This is a short one. We are removing the time rifts, artificial insert, if you want to call it that. You can call it a tag, you can call it an implant. This is a spiritual tag or implant that limits our genetic coding from being able to see and follow a natural progression into the timelessness of our being. Part of this third dimensional agreement that we have entered into in this incarnation is about agreeing to abide by the laws of time and space. But as everything, as all structures and systems, even agreements, they are just as bound to be transcended. And so when we are removing this particular implant, tag, artificial insert, of removing time rifts, it keeps us working at the level of base 10 mechanics, true multidimensional timelines that are actually, the paradox is that they are beyond time. They are part of zero time, they are part of no time, they are part of the stillness, they are part of the void, they are part of that immaculate entropy of the feminine energy of all genesis of creation, is based on base 12 math, which is an organic configuration that we haven't been taught. We've been taught base 10 math in this particular incarnation, which is not a true essence of measure. It's not universality. It is very much delegated to the realm of separation, illusion, and individuality. And this isn't labeling the individual as wrong or incorrect in some way or an aberration. It is a misunderstanding of the fullness of our functioning that leads us to enlightenment. This is what makes us become impatient, because we know we are so much more, yet we feel bound to something that keeps pulling us back. This is the base 10 math. And where the time rifts insert comes into play, keeps us plugged into situations where we're not making the God choice. We find ourselves habituated to reptilian brain programming, and etc. So I'm going to take us into, I'm going to take us into 417 hertz right now. And I want you to begin with your super self breath. So breathing in deeply through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose and out through the mouth. And as you continue to do this, let's see, go into that so we can hear this better, I hope. And as you're going into a deeper rhythm of the super self breath, breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, And let yourself smile inwardly, sending a signal of acceptance, readying the body for big energy, that it's okay to allow it, to permit it, to embrace it, to explore it, to contemplate it, to bathe in it. Give yourself over to it, to be supported by it, to attune yourself to it. Keep smiling inwardly. You might even let a small smile play on your lips. And taking you up to the 7th plane. Mother, Father, God, angels, Archangels Uriel, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, into that aquamarine blue crystalline temple, and activating the time release grid so that all energies may be aligned with the uptake and the release, with each individual's timeline who hears this now and all replays in the future, and for the group as well. Allowing for the integration over time as can best receive by the body without incurring any emotional, physical, mental, or spiritual crisis. And so that all parts of this healing, release, and uptake are accepted and not rejected. And just casting forth that gentle intention into your awareness now. And just continue to breathe at your own nice, even pace. Choose a rhythm that works for you. That might mean the out breath is longer than the in breath. Whatever this means, however this translates for you now. There is a genetic predisposition in your energy to hit the speed of being. This is written into your DNA coding. Another way of saying this is enlightenment. To be enlightened is to be of the light. To have an awareness of being separate from enlightenment, striving towards enlightenment. In the state of becoming enlightenment, there is still separation, there is still illusion, there is still timefulness. Whereas timelessness is your light succumbing to the greater light, the universality. And breathe deeply into your belly. And simply allow a kind of patience to take hold here, keeping your heart and mind open, where the energy feels simple, easy. In your gene keys hologenetic profile, your progression from your life's work to the evolution is your challenge pathway. And our focus is on strengthening the gift spectrum of this challenge pathway here today as we move this energy and all rough edges felt by any challenge presenting itself to you now, feeling all the rough edges of that and funneling it down, kind of inviting it, encouraging it to move down into the solar plexus. And these challenges are something that the mind can't necessarily comprehend. But it's okay. We can take it into the transmuter energy, the cauldron energy, the great transducer energy of the solar plexus. It's not that we solve the problem of timelessness more than we give ourselves over to it. We allow enlightenment. There's nothing we do to attain it. There's nothing that we do to hit the speed of being. It is an embrace of the totality of who we are, beyond time and beyond space and beyond these systems, even to some degree, conventions of reality that we've agreed with. And underneath this is the patience of being in timelessness, because one can only really know patience if one is willing to give themselves over to completely timelessness. Then there is no mark of one thing being relative to another, patience to impatience. There's simply patience, and not in a kind of waiting, but rather an unfolding. And in your mind's eye, or you may feel it in your belly, you may sense it, or have an awareness of like a piece of paper unfolding. A piece of paper that has many folds in it, like you would playfully make a fan when you were a little kid. And you have many folds in it. This is our experience of time. This is how we encapsulate time, or at least how the linear mind does. And imagine now unfolding and flattening out all of the folds on this piece of paper. So it is this flat, white, open void. This is patience. And so we unwind this imprint by removing the time rift now. And activating in the time release grid. In alignment and coherence and congruence with the highest timeline for all present, individually and the group. This is allowing a different coding and sequencing to unfold in the DNA. A kind of awakening that occurs in a rhythmic or logarithmic manner. You may feel a flooding of higher frequencies as your own DNA coding sequence aligns back again to the organic template of base 12 math. You may even see numbers or ratios or equations floating by, aware in your mind's eye. Even if you don't know what they mean, it doesn't matter. But you're experiencing this inflow of very high frequency light, a library of light coded with information that was not accessible in the same way before, even though there might have been an awareness of it. It's like sequencing being locked back into place that was once disjointed or hanging out in the periphery, floating about, looking for its programming partners in your own DNA, and now click, dropped in, clicked in, locked in. This is the impatience. Now move into a kind of patience, which is really just trust, faith. And this kind of new flame of awareness is flickering up from deep in the belly in the sacral plexus, which starts at the top portion of the sacral chakra and moves into the solar plexus. There's uniting energy there, bringing back in frequencies and states of joy, of boundlessness, of timelessness, and all fallacies and falsities equated with base 10 math, an inarticulate frequency that doesn't make sense, and which translates as why much of this life doesn't make sense, but not in the way we're trying to rationally, intellectually figure life out, because that can't be done. The mind, in its amazing reach and scope and depth, does not have the ability for this kind of conceptual nature of understanding reality as a whole, understanding the holographic imprint, the emanation of all life and spectrum of consciousness as a collaborative thing, because the mind only understands separation. And so this is part of the sequencing that's being rectified now. This is you as a Time Tantrika, a practicing contributor, ambassador of the entire spectrum of consciousness, through your own being, hitting the speed of being, hitting the speed of enlightenment, solving the problem of language or words to be able to describe it, but rather just being. Just breathe and smile inwardly. And even your mind is clicking into a different energetic where it knows its own limitation and trying to grasp the entirety of life, that it cannot do anything to be in the fullness of life. It's a beginning of a surrender process. It's a beginning of a falling into the grace, fully, completely, with total surrender into your gentle, galactic nature, into your timelessness. And you're dancing through different vehicles and structures of light, different form. You may feel like your body is moving through a portal, a threshold, as your frequency is hitting the speed of being, hitting the speed of light, where this base 10 mathematical structure that was acting as like a cage around your being is now being dissolved. And it's not something you have to do. It's not something you have to force or effort. It's simply surrendering, softening, and opening. You don't struggle to get here. You simply allow. You feel this flame flickering in the great transducer energy of the cauldron, the solar plexus, maybe licking its way up into the heart chakra, into the throat. Letting this kind of tickle the area of the throat, opening up energy here, allowing for the scope and the depth of feeling to open up physical space in the throat for expression. And bringing this up more into the surface of your awareness as you bring it up into the higher chakras. And letting it extend up and through the brow, the crown, up and out of the crown, expanding in all directions, these frequencies of light, and letting them bounce back down through the body and all the way down through the chakras to the root chakra, to the base of you, to the earth star chakra. And as it hits the earth, expanding out in all directions like it did above the crown. Opening up hidden lessons in the earth's records, which will be a kind of taste of what we're opening up when we move into the portal of Terra in the next activation next week. opening up halls of records with lessons and information and wisdom that is available to you at the frequency spectrum that you're comfortable with in this moment, as you allow your nervous system, your limbic system, your immune system, your endocrine system, all to align and click in to this new sequencing beyond the lower frequencies, achieving higher states of functioning, all happening with this rejoining and regenesis of base 12 math. Aligning with the galactic congruence of your genetic code, the multidimensional DNA coding, the crystalline pre-silicate coding. This is where you know you cannot measure or divide consciousness. You are one with it. And all time is no time. It is the ending of time. So you are altering your own functioning within this new galactic reckoning and paradigm. The higher purpose hidden in all human DNA needs to hit the speed of being in order to hit the gift frequency. It will restore all scales of imbalance back to order, back to higher spiritual order. And so it is. And so you will feel it as an emanation of inner to outer. This is when you stop trying to leave the shadow frequency, and instead, there's no fight left in you. It's just you exposed in your multidimensional wonder. And breathe. You feel it unraveling the collective version, which may have been by mutual adaptation, your version of reality, of history, of the past and memory. Any distorted memories that were caged by base 10 math are now moving. This includes our memories of the earth. When we go into prehistory earth records with the next DNA activation, this is leading us into that energy right here, right now. Already unlocking frequencies and sequences of knowledge, of wisdom, of history, of records that are aligned with our true organic history, which will always inform how we see the present and project into our future. And so this is changing too, and so it is. Again, you're simply allowing, simply riding this wave, exploring this spectrum. And you may notice a period of mutation as this continues to take hold in this 3D reality. You may notice glitches in reality, glitches in the matrix, would call it. Glitches in the signal line, which we're mutually adapting to and adopting as reality. The signal line is kind of the pointer, saying this is real, that's not real. That pointer, that line will become blurry, fuzzy, staticky, because it cannot hold up to this frequency of light. Thus the glitching. So there may be some disorientation during this time. That's okay. Adopt a sense of humor. Be light, be amused by this. Continue a childlike sense of wonder with this. There's a higher purpose behind all of this unfolding, this mutation. All DNA codes are meant to be mutated and therefore transcended. And that is what's happening now. And you'll feel it through the medium, the vehicle of your body. Laugh in the face of your mind telling you that's not real. It shouldn't be that way. It doesn't work that way. It didn't work that way before. As you enter more into a pure being, beware of choosing familiar hell over unfamiliar peace. For it will only be through habit, habituation, conditioning, programming that you'll do that. And just as easily as we can transcend and collapse and fizzle out, opt out of the base 10 math, we can reopen the door to that cage and step back in again. You no longer need to do that. The more you open yourself to these higher frequencies of light, the more heightened the vibration becomes, the more ecstatic the energy becomes. And the more higher mutations and evolutions take place in the sequencing of the DNA. Making the God choices more often, even in the face of difficult, challenging moments, you'll know what the God choice is. Choose it. The God choice will always be supported. It allows you to completely run a different current with all choices and decisions in 3D reality and the life that we've chosen to incarnate in here. You will know. Choose it. Trust it. Free fall into it. There is grace there, even if it makes no sense. And breathe. You may feel fluttering energy in the chest, in the extremities. Again, giving the time and space for the body to adjust in its density to this new flame of awareness as you move from one state in one part of the spectrum of frequency to another. Be kind, be gentle and soft with your energy. Drink plenty of pure, clean, filtered water. Eat cleanly over the next few days. Spend time in contemplation of your Gene Keys profile, of this path of your life's work into evolution, this challenge pathway in your Gene Keys hologenetic profile. If you were to collapse time and collapse this pathway of challenge, what would this evolution look like for you now? Can you embody that feeling? Can you be in the feeling now? Can you project your future from the present feeling of it now? The answer is yes. But will you? Or why won't you? These are the questions. And bringing your energy back down from the 7th plane, and grounding this energy through the body, through a central column of light, of bright white platinum light, bringing this energetic wave of energy down through the central core of the body, down through the central core of the earth and into the iron crystalline core in the heart. The earth, grounding you, closing the time release grid. Thank you, guides, activators, Mother, Father, God, Uriel, and sending all of your energetic cords and tethers, attachments back to you, washed clean in pure source light, and pulling all of mine back to me. Breathe deeply. If you can spend at least 10 minutes opening your energy, contemplating this, allowing the frequencies to flow freely before you move back into active life, it's highly recommended. Or even 5 minutes if you can spare that. And then slowly move yourself back into the day. Be deliberate with your actions and movements, with your words, with your deeds, so you can notice and have awareness of these effects. And I'll see you very soon for our Portal of Terra Prehistory Earth Records activation, which will be our next one on Tuesday. Much love to you all. Bye-bye.